This story is titled, My Wife Invited Her Entire Family to Watch as She Presented Me with Divorce Papers on My Birthday. Surprise! I'm leaving you for someone who isn't a disappointment. Today, exactly 6 months later, she was sleeping in her car outside my house, begging to talk. Yesterday marked exactly 6 months since the night my wife Ruth gave me the worst birthday surprise since that time in third grade when my mom forgot I was allergic to strawberries. But instead of hives and a hospital visit, this one ended with divorce papers and a gold plastic trophy that said, World's #1 disappointment. Yep, that's me. Officially branded and Instagram certified, apparently. For context, I'm 45M, name's Mike, but everyone just calls me, Hey, can you fix this real quick? Been married to Ruth, 43F, for 22 years. We've got 2 kids, Emily, 19F, who's in college majoring in whatever costs the most, and Oscar, 14M, who communicates only in eye rolls and Fortnite slang. I work at a manufacturing plant I've been with since before Emily was born. 50-hour weeks, busted knees, and exactly 2 vacation days used in the last decade. Living the dream, right? So my birthday rolls around. Ruth texts me at work. Be home by 6, we've got a surprise dinner planned. For once, I actually let myself feel something. Hope, maybe. Naive, right? Thought maybe they finally noticed I hadn't taken a sick day since Obama was in office. Thought maybe they remembered I existed outside of what's for dinner. And can you Venmo me $80 for books? I get home at 5:58 like a proper working-class dork who prides himself on being punctual, showered off the factory grime, put on the only button-up shirt I own that doesn't scream Employee of the Month at the tire shop, and walked into the dining room. And there it was, the good china. Candles, a homemade cake, the whole Norman Rockwell spread. Ruth even did that dramatic game show host gesture toward the head of the table, and Emily was already filming on her phone. Should have known right then. When teenagers film things voluntarily, it's either a prank or an act of cruelty. Turns out it was both. They sing Happy Birthday. It's weirdly stiff, like a jury being forced to harmonize. Then Emily hands me a present. I unwrap it slowly because Ruth always scolds me about ripping like a savage. Inside, a plastic trophy. The kind you get at Party City, goldish. Cheap, engraved with World's #1 disappointment. For a full second, I didn't understand what I was looking at. Then they started laughing. Full belly laughs. Oscar high-fived Emily. Ruth wiped tears from her eyes from how funny it all was. Emily told me to give a speech. Ruth said, We saw it and just knew it had your name all over it. I've missed holidays, birthdays, and sleep just to keep this house running. Drove a rust bucket for 10 years so they could have iPhones and AirPods and dental insurance. And this was what I got. My daughter filmed it all and posted it to Instagram with hashtags like Dad Fail and Birthday Cringe. I smiled. I held the trophy up like I'd won an Emmy. I even said thank you, because that's what disappointments do. We smile, we say thanks. We wash the dishes while everyone else watches Love Island. Later that night, I sat in my garage, Dad's junk room, staring at the pegboard where my tools hang in perfect rows, the only space in the house that still feels like mine. I turned on my phone and saw the video had over 8,000 likes. The caption? Dad's big moment. So yeah, I sat there and made a plan. 6 months later, yesterday, that same woman was outside my house, mascara running, sitting in her car, crying, begging me to come out, tapping on her window like a raccoon in a rom-com. I watched her from the garage and didn't move. First thing I did that morning? Called in sick. First time in 3 years. My shift manager actually sounded worried, like, Damn, Mike, are you dying? Close enough, buddy. Just my spirit. I waited until the house was empty. Ruth had a shopping trip with her sister, because nothing soothes the soul like blowing money you pretend not to have. Emily was at college, and Oscar was at school, probably roasting someone on Discord. That left me with an empty house and a to-do list that would make Marie Kondo proud. Step 1. Home office. Ruth keeps our important papers in this filing cabinet that's basically a hoarder's shrine. Folders labeled with extremely helpful things like stuff, important, and my personal favorite, my stuff don't touch. Which of course I touched immediately. Buried under expired coupons and a user manual for a blender we never owned, I found what I wasn't supposed to find. 3 credit cards I never knew existed. Combined balance, $34,000 and change. Minimum payments through the roof. Purchases from stores I've never heard of. Some weird spa place in Scottsdale. And one charge from Luxury Nails by Kim that cost more than my first car. Oh, and a cell phone bill for a number I didn't recognize. So naturally, I did what any factory rat with a new spine would do. I photographed everything. Every single page. Then I drove across town to open a checking account just for me. Not the branch we usually go to, because Ruth's cousin works there, and the last thing I needed was someone accidentally tipping her off. I told the personal banker, Sometimes the check engine light comes on for a reason. Ignore it long enough and the whole engine goes. She nodded like she'd heard that exact line before. Probably had. By noon, I had a new bank account, all my direct deposits rerouted, and my emergency stash, the actual emergency fund, not the one Ruth calls dibs on, tucked somewhere she'd never find. Then I started making calls. Lawyer, accountant, my old buddy Danny, who got divorced 2 years ago and now lives like a budget Jason Bourne. Solo, paranoid, and thriving. By dinner time, I had a post-it note titled Exit Strategy, stuck to my garage pegboard, right next to the torquey wrench, step by step. No chaos, no yelling, no trophy-worthy reactions. The following week, I started sleeping at a friend's place 2 nights a week. Told Ruth I was working doubles. Easy lie. She barely looked up from her phone anyway. Emily didn't ask. Oscar thought I was out getting milk or whatever kids believe when you vanish for 48 hours. And on the 6th night, I packed everything that mattered. Tools, documents, my granddad's pocket knife, that dumb blue button-up, left the plastic trophy on the kitchen counter, propped against a post-it that said, "You win." When they got home that night, I was already gone. So after Operation Get My Damn Life Back went smoother than I expected, I spent the next few weeks playing Ghost. I didn't go full scorched earth. I didn't drain the accounts or burn the house down or send Emily's dumb Instagram video to her future employers. I just disappeared. Quiet, clean, like a man slipping off a sinking ship with one duffel bag and a middle finger in his back pocket. Naturally, Ruth didn't take it well. Let's set the scene. It's a Thursday. I'm working temp shifts at a buddy's auto shop. Not glamorous, but it's honest, greasy, and nobody calls me a disappointment unless I actually mess up a carburetor. I'm elbow deep in a busted-out Subaru when I hear the front door slam open like it owes someone money. Then I hear my name. Not just my name, my government name. The kind only Ruth uses when she's furious or filing taxes. I step out from the bay, and there she is, standing in the waiting area, wearing a fleece bathrobe over pajama pants with cartoon cats on them, flip-flops barely hanging on, mascara smeared like she just crawled out of a Nicholas Sparks breakup montage. "He left us with nothing," she screams. "He just walked out like some coward, after everything I did for him." I gotta hand it to her. She had the theatrics down, the trembling voice, the shaky hands, the way she clutched her phone like she was moments from dialing a lawyer, or maybe a pizza, hard to tell. There were 3 other customers sitting there, 2 guys pretending not to watch and 1 lady openly filming. My buddy behind the counter froze like a deer watching a train derailment. "Ruth," I said, wiping my hands on a rag, "you should go." She ignored me completely. Classic Ruth. Kept yelling about how I abandoned the family, stole money, emotionally manipulated the kids, which was hilarious considering her birthday stunt, and how I owed her for the years she sacrificed her dreams to stay married to a disappointment. That one stung a bit, mostly because of how effortlessly it rolled off her tongue, like she'd been rehearsing it. I didn't argue, didn't explain. I just walked her to the door and said, "Calm as you like, this isn't helping you." She tried to follow me back inside. My buddy, 6 feet 2 inches, built like a diesel engine with a beard, stepped forward and told her, "Ma'am, you need to leave, or I'm calling the cops." That did it. She stormed off, screaming something about how this isn't over, which is, of course, what every villain says before it absolutely is over. I stood in the parking lot for a good 5 minutes after she left, just breathing, oil-stained, exhausted, and half laughing at the absurdity of it all. You ever have one of those moments where life feels like a parody of itself? That was mine. Later that night, Emily texted me. Not to apologize, not to check in. Nope. She asked if I was still paying her car insurance. I didn't respond. You ever see someone hit rock bottom and still try to act like they're the one doing you a favor? Yeah, that was last night. It's been 6 months since I left. 6 months since I walked out of my own birthday dinner with a trophy that basically said, "Thanks for playing the game of marriage, better luck next life." 6 months since I stopped being Dad the doormat and started being Mike the man with boundaries. And last night, Ruth showed up. In her car, parked across the street, windows fogged up, hair matted, makeup smudged. She looked like a raccoon who lost custody of her trash cans. I watched her from the garage for a while. Same garage she used to call my junk cave, the one I rebuilt myself, where I now keep my tools, my coffee machine, and my sanity. She was sitting in her car wrapped in what looked like a comforter from our guest room, which is hilarious considering she once said that blanket was too ugly to keep. Oh, how the cozy tables have turned. Eventually, she got out, barefoot, walked up to my driveway, stood there like a sad ghost, and knocked on the garage door, not the front door. Smart. She knew I'd be in here. I didn't open it, just sat quietly while she muttered something I couldn't hear. Then she knocked again. 3 slow, pathetic taps. "Mike, can we talk? Please," she said, barely loud enough to register. I made a mistake." "No kidding, Ruth. Was it the part where you called me a disappointment in front of your entire extended family? Or the part where you filmed it for likes?" I didn't move, just watched her silhouette through the frosted glass. After a minute, she sat down right there on the concrete, not screaming this time, no bathrobe melodrama, just silence. And that hit weirder than anything else so far. Here's what I've pieced together. She burned through our joint savings after I left. I only took what was mine legally, but that woman went through the rest like a raccoon on a Red Bull bender. The new kitchen? Never happened. Credit cards? Maxed. Her sister finally stopped bailing her out. Emily barely comes home anymore. College is expensive and cold shoulders are free. Oscar, well, last I heard he's been staying more with Ruth's mom. I guess being raised by a disappointment doesn't sound so bad now, huh? Ruth lost the house she tried renting after I moved out. The landlord sued her for property damage. Her emergency fund turned out to be as fictional as her cooking skills. Now she's in her car, sobbing on a driveway she used to walk across like she was royalty. And I'm inside, eating leftover chili and watching Better Call Saul. The irony is practically biblical. But here's the kicker. After about an hour of her sitting there, she knocked one more time and left a handwritten note. Not a text, not a voice memo. A literal crumpled piece of paper folded in half with my name on it like we're in high school again. I haven't opened it yet, because deep down, I already know what it says. Something about love, regret, how the kids miss me, how we should try again for the sake of the family. Maybe even an apology, though I doubt it'll have the words trophy or humiliation in it. But the truth? I'm not looking for closure. I already found mine 6 months ago, in a dollar store trophy engraved with everything I needed to hear. I always assumed if anyone from the old crew came crawling back, it'd be Ruth. I did not expect the first guilt grenade to come from my own daughter. But here we are. Let me start by saying I love my kids. I do. Even when they treat me like a debit card that breathes and occasionally fixes the Wi-Fi. But love doesn't mean I'll keep handing them weapons to stab me with. Last night, I finally opened the note Ruth left on my garage door. Yep, the one she dropped off while shivering in her car like a cautionary tale about karma. It was 3 paragraphs of the most manipulative nostalgia I've ever read. All remember our first apartment, and the kids need stability, and we lost ourselves, but maybe we can find each other again. Girl, you handed me divorce papers like they were a birthday balloon and let our daughter film it for clout. You didn't lose me. You sold me for Instagram likes and store-bought cake. I crumpled the note, tossed it in the trash, and went on with my evening. That should have been the end of it. But then today, Emily called. Now, keep in mind, this is the same 19-year-old who tagged me in a video labeled "Wash Our Birthday Fail" and laughed while I held a trophy calling me a disappointment. She hasn't called just to talk since she discovered Venmo. So imagine my surprise when her name pops up on my phone mid-lunch. I pick up. She doesn't even say hi, just dives in. Dad, Mom's living in her car. Did you know that? There's this weird tone in her voice, like I'm supposed to gasp and clutch my pearls. Instead, I chew a fry and go, yeah, she parked outside the house the other night. Silence. Then, and you didn't help her? Oh, so that's where this is going. I ask her what exactly she thinks help looks like. A spare bedroom? A hug? A fresh trophy engraved with world's most forgiving doormat? Emily sighs like I'm the unreasonable one here. She's your wife. Well, was. You loved her. You can't just let her suffer. And that's when something in me snapped. But not loudly, not with rage. With this cold, crystal-clear stillness I haven't felt in years. I said, when I stood at that table holding a trophy that said, "Our one disappointment," while you filmed it for fun, what exactly did you think that was? A joke? A bit? What did you expect me to do? She didn't answer. So I kept going. You all laughed. You all thought it was funny. But that night, I realized you didn't see me as a person anymore. I was just some tired appliance in the house that occasionally gave you gas money and pretended not to be hurt when you rolled your eyes. You think it's cruel to let your mother sleep in her car? Where was that energy when she handed me divorce papers like it was a punchline? Emily said she didn't know it hurt that bad. She thought I was in on the joke. She thought I was just being dramatic when I left. I told her, I didn't leave because of the trophy, Em. I left because it was the first time in years you all told the truth. She went quiet for a long time, then said, I don't know what to do now. And for the first time, I didn't jump in to fix it. I didn't offer comfort or wisdom. I just said, maybe sit with that feeling for a while. I did. She hung up. I thought the most surreal moment of this entire saga was standing in my garage reading Instagram comments about my birthday fail while holding a $2 trophy. But no. Turns out the true Twilight Zone was watching my ex-wife's sister cry into a glass of boxed Merlot in my living room while accusing me of destroying the family. Let me walk you through this fever dream. So Ruth's still couchless and car-bound. I haven't responded to her note, her texts, or the LinkedIn message she somehow thought would land better than, I don't know, basic accountability. Emily's been radio silent since our last call. Oscar hasn't reached out, which honestly just tells me he's either fine or still grounded for calling his algebra teacher a noob. Then Friday night rolls around. I'm in sweatpants. Chili reheating on the stove. Reruns of Mythbusters playing in the background. It's been a good day. Then the doorbell rings. I wasn't expecting anyone. I open the door and there she is. Melanie, 48F. Ruth's older sister. The one who always wears clothes that scream suburban therapist, but has the emotional awareness of a wet sock. She's holding a bottle of wine and a tote bag that says, "Empathy is my love language." She walks right in, doesn't wait for an invite, just floats past me like she owns the air in the room. "I just want to talk," she says. Spoiler. That was a lie. She pours herself a glass of wine unasked, plops onto the couch, and launches into what she clearly rehearsed in her Prius on the way over. "Ruth's not doing well," she says. "She's really broken up about what happened." I nod. I'm sure the leather seats in her Nissan Altima make for a therapeutic setting. Melanie frowns like I just kicked a puppy. She made a mistake. Oh, which part? The trophy? The surprise divorce? Or the fact that she live-streamed it with hashtags? Melanie waves it off like I just brought up traffic on the 405. She was hurt. She felt unseen, unappreciated. I don't even blink. I felt like a piñata at a family barbecue, except instead of candy, they just beat me for laughs. Now here's where it gets good. She refills her glass, aggressively, like it's a form of punctuation, and says, "You never really tried to fix things, Mike. You just ran." "Excuse me?" I stared at her, genuinely stunned. "Mel, I was married for 22 years. I worked 60-hour weeks. I gave up hobbies, trips, dreams. I smiled through every eye roll, every, ugh, dad, and God, you're so dramatic. I sat through conversations about air fryers and reality TV while your sister called me a failure with her entire chest. And when I finally stopped being a doormat, that was the unforgivable act." She takes a sip, then hits me with, "Marriage takes work." I laughed. I actually laughed. "Yeah," I said. "It does." And I was the only damn one clocking in. Then Melanie drops the closer. The grand finale of this unhinged TED Talk. She's still your family. And you know what? I just stood up, walked to the front door and opened it, held it wide like a gentleman. "No, Melanie, she was. And so were you." She left, muttering something about men being so emotional. Yes, me, the emotional one. After your sister gave me a participation trophy in disappointment, I watched her drive away. Didn't slam the door, didn't shout, just locked it behind her and poured myself a real drink. You ever go to something you know is a trap, but some sick part of your brain goes, "Hey, maybe there's free food." Yeah, that's how I ended up sitting across from my ex-wife at Olive Garden while she fake laughed and pretended we were co-parents instead of emotional war veterans with opposing flags. Let me back up. So, after the wine and weeping sister visit, I figured Ruth would retreat for a bit, lick her wounds, maybe journal about how not to emotionally nuke a marriage for content. Instead, she texts me 2 days later, "The kids miss you. We should do a family dinner, just one, for them." Right? For them. Not because her car's been doubling as a bedroom and a therapy box. Not because her sister's intervention went over like a fart in church. Nope. For the children. And because I love my kids, actually love them, not just when they're useful for appearances, I said yes. Mostly to see Oscar. Emily's still playing the neutral card like she's the child of two warring gods and wants custody of Olympus. We meet at the local Olive Garden because Ruth still pretends it's nostalgic, even though it's mostly microwaved pasta and faint garlic regret. She shows up 10 minutes late wearing what I assume was supposed to be her casual yet radiant outfit. I show up in a hoodie and jeans because I no longer have to impress someone who thinks birthday humiliation is foreplay. Emily sits next to her mom. Oscar, without hesitation, plops down next to me. We order. Ruth smiling like a politician at a donor dinner. I'm trying not to strangle a breadstick. She kicks things off with, "I just want to acknowledge the tension and say, I think we all made mistakes." Classic move. Dilute the responsibility with group guilt. Sprinkle that passive-aggressive seasoning. She's not wrong. We all did things. Like me, I existed. And her? Just casually detonated a 22-year marriage on Facebook Live. She goes on about family unity and putting things behind us, and how Oscar misses his dad, don't you, sweetie? Oscar doesn't even look up from his phone. Then, while stirring her soup, Ruth slips in the real agenda. I was thinking, maybe we could look at mediation. Something amicable. Split custody of the house. No lawyers. Split custody of the house. The one I paid for. Maintained. Scrubbed mold out of. While she was Googling kitchen backsplashes we couldn't afford. Before I can say anything, Oscar, my beautiful, sarcastic, goblin-hearted 14-year-old, drops his spoon, sighs, and says, "Are you gonna let her gaslight you again, or can we eat?" I swear to God I almost cried into my salad. Ruth freezes. Emily's jaw drops. I stare at my son like he just handed me Excalibur. She tries to recover. "Oscar, that's not appropriate." But he's not done. "No, really. Last time we were all at a table, you gave Dad a plastic trophy and divorce papers. Now you want his house? I don't care if the breadsticks are unlimited. This is insane." Silence. Complete glorious silence. I looked at Ruth, calm, cold, just like I practiced. There will be lawyers. I've already got mine. She tried to keep smiling, but you could see the panic seeping through the cracks. Emily looked like she wanted to crawl into her purse. Oscar picked up his phone and went back to his game like he hadn't just performed an exorcism. We finished dinner. Ruth barely touched her food. I tipped the waiter 30% and walked out feeling 20 pounds lighter. It's been 6 months since I was publicly handed divorce papers and a trophy labeling me one disappointment, like I was the loser of some emotional Hunger Games. And tonight, exactly 6 months to the day, I opened my front door to find my daughter on the porch in tears, holding a duffel bag, shaking like she had no idea where else to go. Behind her, Ruth's car, parked at the curb again, engine off, headlights on, and Ruth in the driver's seat, not getting out this time. Let me rewind 48 hours. After the Olive Garden incident, RIP unlimited soup, salad, and dignity, Oscar and I were good. He's been texting me way more. Screenshots of his grades, sarcastic memes about algebra, the occasional "mom's being weird again" update. We've got our rhythm back, and I can see that little fire in him, the one I thought I'd lost under layers of indifference and PlayStation. Emily, though? Nothing. Radio silence since that night. Until tonight. It's 10:43 p.m. I'm in the garage like usual, tinkering with the truck she used to call embarrassing. I hear a car outside. Not uncommon, but something felt off. Then the knock. I open the door, and there she is. Emily. No filters. No carefully curated outfit for her followers. Just a hoodie, tears, and the kind of scared face you can't fake. She says, "I didn't know who to call." Then she practically falls into my arms. We sit on the couch for 15 minutes while she collects herself. Then it comes pouring out. Turns out Ruth's finances are worse than I thought. She burned through her savings and racked up new debt, maxed out cards under her name, opened a few in Emily's. Yeah, her own daughter's credit. College aid started bouncing. Her rent check bounced. Apparently, Ruth was planning on moving in with Emily at school, to start fresh together. Emily told her no, finally. Flat out number. That's when Ruth kicked her out of the apartment for being disloyal, packed up her stuff, dumped it in the back seat, and drove her to my neighborhood like I'm a rehab center for broken relationships. But she didn't knock. She didn't come to the door. She just sat in the car while Emily cried on my porch. I peeked through the blinds. Ruth was staring straight ahead, hands on the wheel, face tight. She never once looked over. I almost opened the door to go talk to her. Almost. But then I looked at Emily, curled up on the couch under the old family quilt, holding a mug of tea I made exactly the way she likes it, and I realized this wasn't about Ruth anymore. This was about breaking the chain. This was about finally choosing myself and my kids on my terms. So I picked up my phone, took a photo of Emily sleeping peacefully on the couch. No makeup, no caption, just safe. Then I turned the camera toward the window and took a shot of Ruth's car. Still parked, still dark, still waiting for a door she slammed shut 6 months ago. I didn't post them anywhere. I just saved them. A reminder. One photo of what love looks like when it's real. One of what it looks like when it's gone. So Reddit, Ada for refusing to let Ruth in, even when she was right outside? Because maybe some people need closure, but others, they need a mirror. And me? I just needed to stop being someone else's punchline and start being my own damn person.